Okay, welcome back to Brick City. Hope everyone is doing well. Now, I just wanted to get in my picks for the US Open quarterfinals. I did miss round four, but as you're about to see, I wish I had done a picks video because I went 8 for 8, boys. So I did put a little bet on there. I did have Dimitrov over Rublev. I had Taylor Fritz 3-1 over Rude. Alexander Zverev over Nakashima. I did pick Tiafoe with a 3-1 over Popper. And then we had Draper, Medvedev, Demonor, and Yannick Sinner coming through just recently. So, 8 for 8 on picks. I'm not too bad at this tennis thing, if I do say so myself. So I am going to take you through my picks. I have put a little bet on the next one as well, if anyone else wants to follow through with that. I've got Jessica. I chucked $10 on Jessica Pegula there just to win the US Open as well. Now, interesting quarterfinal matchups. We've got Taylor Fritz versus Alexander Zverev. As you can see here, I am going to take Taylor Fritz. I do think it'll be a 5-setter. This is 50-50, to be honest. One of the reasons that I am taking Taylor Fritz over Alexander Zverev is even though Alex has come through that period in his career where he sort of, he used to shit the bed quite consistently in the early rounds of the slams. I think he's come through that patch. I mean, that was evident. He did make a slam final this year. He did lose, but he performed well. The moment wasn't getting to him. I think ever since he come back from that injury, last year, he has just sort of had a renewed sort of focus. I think he is just starting to hit his prime. That said, I think Taylor Fritz is playing better now. He's got a little bit of the expectation off him. He is someone who doesn't necessarily perform well under the bright lights. He has had a all-time high seeding, I think, or ranking of 8 previously, around the 7 and 8 mark. He's in the top 10. He's fringe top 10. He has the talent to win a Grand Slam. He has the talent to be a top 10 mainstay, which he generally is. I think he's even got the talent to sort of get up there, around the sort of the Rublev Medvedev sort of category. I think he's not quite as good as Medvedev, though. Now, reason that I'm taking him here is for 2 reasons. Current form I'm taking into account. Taylor Fritz has played excellent. And again, he's American and it is the US Open. Now, the home field advantage for Taylor Fritz is a bit of a double-edged sword in the way that he's either going to feed off the crowd's energy or he's going to let it get to him because he is a player that feels the weight of expectation. I think he's going to come through. I think he's in a good patch of form. I think he's going to play well with the expectation off him a little bit as well. I mean, we do still have Frances Tiafoe in the mix as well. So, he's not just the lone sole US Open hope at the moment. They've got quite a few. I mean, Tommy Paul bowed out today, but he's sort of Tiafoe, Tommy Paul, and Taylor Fritz are sort of the 3 leading the way for American men's tennis. I think he's sort of performing a bit better, with those other guys in the mix, to be honest. He's been serving well all tournament. I think he's only dropped 2 sets so far on his way to the quarterfinals here. I'm just expecting a bit of a breakout. I think he is going to make the semis. So take Taylor Fritz. It will be a 5-set match. Both these guys are all, they're too talented to go down in straight sets or even 4 sets, I think, with the form they're both currently in. Anyway, we move on. Tiafoe versus Dimitrov. Now, this one for me, I am a big Dimitrov supporter. I would like to see Dimitrov go through, but Dimitrov has a history of underperforming in quarterfinals. He lets the bright lights get to him again. Kind of like a lot of the same stuff I was saying with Taylor Fritz. Dimitrov has made a semifinals. I know he definitely made a semifinal. He's made 2 semifinals. He made one against, I want to say it was him versus Nadal at Wimbledon about 4 or 5 years ago. And he did also play Nadal in a quarterfinal at the Australian Open, I think about 3 or 4 years ago as well. Both in Wimbledon, he went out in straight sets, if memory serves, and the 5-set Australian Open match from about 5 years ago, that was a 5-setter. So Dimitrov tends to shrink and he lets a lot of the big moments get to him. Tiafoe is playing like a man on a mission. He took out Popyrin. I expected him to take out Popyrin, obviously. You've seen the bet slip. But he did it, he was down 3 set points in the second set, and he came back and he won that set and then eventually sealed the match in 4. Tiafoe's in really good form. I think he's got the belief and the momentum behind him. I think he truly believes, and I think that he's played himself into a mindset of believing that he can really do this. So again, Frances Tiafoe, he plays off the home crowd brilliantly. He feeds off the energy, he soaks it in, and he'll let the crowd carry him through big moments. It does put a lot of pressure on the opposing player when the crowd does sort of come to life, and the crowd loves Frances Tiafoe. I mean, they really get behind Tiafoe as their boy. So Not an easy match by any stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if Tiafoe took it in 4 sets. If he plays like he did against Popyrin, I wouldn't be surprised, if this is a 4-set win for him. Again, Dimitrov, he's just too inconsistent. I find that he can struggle with the heavy hitting players that are, Dimitrov struggles with weight of shot, especially like deep weight of shot as well. So, a player that can hit as hard as Frances Tiafoe. If Dimitrov's a bit shaky and Frances comes out swinging like I expect him to, I think he'll take the first set. They might exchange sets. It'll probably be, Frances 1, Dimitrov 2, Frances 3, and then Dimitrov 4 and Frances in 5. So, take Frances in 5 all day there, setting up an All-American semi-final, which would be pretty crazy and pretty cool to see for the American fans. Next one. This one's an easy bet for me. Daniil Medvedev's hard court record against Jannik Sinner is abysmal. He did win in 5 sets against him at Wimbledon, but that's the grass courts. It plays completely different to the US Open. Sinner he's a very heavy hitter of the ball. Medvedev is a fantastic defensive player, kind of like maybe I guess in some ways like an Andy Murray 2.0, kind of, when Murray was in his prime. He gets a lot of balls back into play. He's an excellent shield. He can be the hammer when he's confident and he needs to. I just kind of see Sinner hitting him off the court. I think Medvedev is going to come in a little bit defeated before the match even happens. I'm pretty sure the last hard court match they had, Sinner beat him 6-1, 6-2 in like Miami or maybe Indian Wells. Lost to him at the Australian Open as well. He just doesn't perform well against Sinner on hard courts. He knows it. Sinner knows it. That confidence right there is going to be carried out. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Sinner won this in straight sets. It's sort of that. It's kind of weird like that. You do see a lot of the times when you see these top players sort of match up at these later stages in Grand Slams, it is not uncommon for one of the top players just to melt down and just get done in straight sets. You see it in almost every Grand Slam or every other Grand Slam. You'll see a quarter or a semi-final where it's number 1 versus number 6, or number 2 versus number 9 or 7 or something, and they just get obliterated in straight sets. They have a tougher time dealing with the some of the lower ranked players sort of around the 20-30 mark sometimes, because they sort of play with nothing to lose. Whereas I feel like a lot of the top players, when they play the other top players, they get in their own head a lot. Medvedev's definitely one of those players. I'm not saying that he's mentally weak. I'm just saying against Jannik Sinner, he knows that he's up against it, and look for Sinner to take this probably in straight sets, honestly. I'm not expecting much out of Medvedev here, which might sound crazy, but hey, hit the comment section and tell me how right I am when it happens. De Minaur versus Draper. I was actually going back and forth on this. Now, I've taken Alex de Minaur, and it's not biased just because I'm an Aussie boy. I think this will probably go to either 4 or 5 sets. I was almost going to take Jack Draper. He's playing fantastic. He's playing excellent, excellent tennis. I was a little bit concerned for de Minaur coming into this tournament at all, since he hadn't played since... Well, he didn't play the Olympics. I think he hadn't played since Wimbledon, if memory serves. So, he did have that injury. He just played excellent against Jordan Thompson. He ended up having it pretty easy against Dan Evans, because we all seen Dan Evans had that injury, and he kind of just sort of, soldiered on and stayed on the court in a show of good faith and let de Minaur kind of crush him in the last 2 sets. So de Minaur's kind of had a bit of an easy run here. I don't think he's going to be too stressed out injury-wise. He's playing great. He looks great. And he can usually, he's gotten very consistent against these sort of top 30 players. Jack Draper, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, obviously I'm going to take de Minaur. He's a top 10 player. He's in the prime of his career and his life right now. He keeps getting better. Jack Draper, it's not his time yet. Look for de Minaur to take this probably in, I'll say 5 sets. I haven't done set betting for these two because I'm not too sure. I'm not confident in the set betting. These ones are so competitive that they will go 5. So I have taken the 5 set betting here. Jannik Sinner, I think, is, he would be out of this round, he's my lock to beat Daniil Medvedev. Watch that blow up in my face now that I'm so confident. Jannik Sinner in, honestly, straight sets. Jannik Sinner in straight sets. It'll be like a 6-4, 6-3, 7-6 or something for Jannik Sinner. There'll be one tie break in there somewhere. And de Minaur, we'll take the Demon in 4 sets as well. Anyway, that's the picks for the US Open.